just few minutes till other students join. At the moment, only 9 students have joined. Although I have put the link on WhatsApp group also. So if anybody will like to ask any question, first thing is that from the previous lecture. If
Sir,
any,
if you could please send us the slides of surface runoff. You haven't sent the slides.
okay, you don't have the slides.
No, sir, not right now.
Okay, I do it now. So two files are shared on WhatsApp. One we already started lecture 10 about runoff, and one we are supposed to do today also is lecture 11. So let me do with the other also. Flood estimation and flood frequency. I'm putting the link of the meeting again so that student may join. So all the files after the midterm have been shared. So now from the last lecture, any question? So we have sufficient number of students, 17 students are with me. Let me check who is present. Muina West, can you tell me how we define runoff? Runoff क्या होता है? Muina West. Muina West is not present. Should I kick him out? Muin. Okay, let me remove from meeting.
Yes, sir.
मैम
Yes,
मीटिंग
sir.
से
Yes,
remove करना
yes,
है
sir.
तो आप देते
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
यस सर अब आवाज जल्दी जल्दी आ रही है
नहीं सर आ रही थी वो माइक का आई थिंक सो
simple how do we define runoff
sir runoff is the flow that it is the flow collected from a basin at an outlet or the flow that flows over the land. It is the flow of water that occurs due to the precipitation occurring on land.
It is a flow of water that
that
occurs
occurs
from
due to the
precipitation.
precipitation occurring on land.
So that is
Surface
runoff.
surface
And
runoff.
so my question is not surface runoff. That is one part of runoff. Surface runoff is one part of runoff. So I'm talking about runoff.
Uh, Precipitation as well. Precipitation that contributes, which appears in surface streams that can be seen as a
All the water that reaches to the streams, water from the precipitation, water from the snow melt, which reaches to the stream, and it reaches to the stream through different ways. One is surface runoff. One is
uh,
one is
precipitation on land.
one is
Pres-
subsurface. So subsurface includes two things. One is
Interflow and I think so
and
water.
very good.
Water. Water.
Yeah. One is groundwater flow. One is interflow. One is groundwater flow. And
Yes.
another component, so we have talked about three components. One is the surface runoff, one is interflow, one is the groundwater. Another component which makes a part of total runoff or runoff, that is
Precipitation on land.
direct, not precipitation. Precipitation is already converted into runoff, surface runoff, interflow,
Direct.
and groundwater flow. Another component other than this,
Direct runoff
direct precipitation on the channel.
on channel.
Direct precipitation. So that will not be surface runoff, that will not be interflow, that will not be groundwater flow, but it contribute to the channel flow.
Okay. Sir.
Okay. So these are the four parts which makes up the runoff or total runoff. Both words are used. So one part is surface surface runoff. Uh, and one part is interflow and one part is groundwater flow. We have studied different components which affect the flow, and some of them will be repeated today also. And so I skipped this part. We have studied different methods to estimate this runoff. So what is the best method to know the quantity of the runoff? Runoff means flow in the channel. So what is the best method? I am talking now to Mr. Abdul Hasib Ahmed. How are you, Abdul Hasib?
I'm good.
ठीक हो?
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह sir.
Very good. किस सिटी में बैठे हो?
मुजफ्फरगढ़.
वाह जी वाह. Muzaffargarh is on the bank of किसके किनारे पे हो?
पता नहीं sir.
Muzaffargarh city is located on the bank of आपका ना माइक नहीं वो है सही. We are not getting any voice. अब ठीक हुआ. नहीं अभी भी नहीं ठीक. आप माइक जो है ना अपने क्लास के लिए एक अलग नया माइक और हैंड फ्री रखो जिसकी तारें ना टूटी हुई हो.
सर अब आवाज आ रही?
अब आ रही है. हाँ. तो किसके किनारे पे लोकेटेड है मुजफ्फरगढ़?
नहीं पता.
शर्म करो. हैं? लाहौर जब आते हो तो किस ब्रिज से क्रॉस करते हो?
ये भी नहीं पता.
You are not from मुजफ्फरगढ़ इसका मतलब है.
सर मुजफ्फरगढ़ डिस्ट्रिक्ट है, मेरा सिटी नहीं है.
सारा का सारा डिस्ट्रिक्ट जो है ना, it is on the bank of Chenab. On one side, Chenab. So which town you are located?
सर उसका मुजफ्फरगढ़ का एक शहर है चौक मुंडा, वहाँ पे.
Chowk Munda. So which So which side you come to Lahore? कौन सा रूट है?
सर लिया वाली साइड से आते हैं ये हम जंग इधर से।
तो झंग के पास कौन सा दरिया क्रॉस करते? Which bridge do you cross? Which barrage do you cross? क्या मसला है भाई? ये क्या? 100 of time you must have crossed it and you don't know.
यस सर।
So you are located on the Chenab, on the I think right bank of the Chenab, and if you go to from Chok Munda, you go to Garh Maharaja and then you cross the river. Is it so? Sultan
Yes.
Bahu के पास से।
यस सर।
तो वो सुल्तान बाहू ब्रिज ही कहलाता है मेरे ख्याल में या चिन्योट ब्रिज कहलाता है, नॉट चिन्योट, शोरकोट bridge. So that is Chenab River. So you should be familiar with your locality. That is compulsory for everybody because these are the things which people expect you should be knowing.
Yes.
Okay. Abdul Hasib, I'm asking different methods of runoff estimation we have studied.
The unit hydrograph,
Unit hydrograph
infiltration method,
and
infiltration method,
infiltration method and
सर एक और भी था, rational method I think,
J
rational method,
rational method. Okay, what else?
सर यही याद है।
Okay, you don't have the lectures with you
सर अभी आपने सेंड किए।
and you don't have the video recording with you.
वीडियो रिकॉर्डिंग तो है।
है?
यस सर।
Okay, सुनी थी दोबारा?
सर कंप्लीट नहीं सुनी थी, रात को थोड़ी सी सुनी थी शुरू में।
Okay, so please put more efforts on hydrology, otherwise its course is too lengthy, you will be not able to grasp it. There are a few empirical methods. You have not taken name of any one of them. Now I am talking to Mr. C. Farhan, 586-686. C. Farhan, Chaudhry Farhan sir. Chaudhry Farhan. Now I am talking to FK17. Yes. Chaudhry Farhan sir, tell me a few names of the empirical methods of runoff estimation.
सर एक लिंसे मेथड था,
एक
एक
कौन सा?
बॉम्बे तक
English method, ठीक है. That was good for Bombay Deccan region. That is not the method. Second one was
सर एक इंग्लिश फार्मूला,
right, correct, ठीक है. सही है. दूसरा
एक लेसी रिलेशनशिप है।
Lacey method, and 8th semester you will be talking much about Lacey because we have a Lacey theory. With the help of that we design the unlined channels. So you will be knowing this name quite often in 8th semester. So Lacey uh, method for estimation of runoff. Lacey equation for estimation of the runoff. One is that. Third is FK170704. चौधरी फरहान ने खुद ही माइक बंद कर लिया, कहते बहुत है. FK170.
नहीं सर तीनों बताए।
You are not responding. FK1707. I am kicking you out. Present or not? FK1707. No response. So removed from the class. Freeha Nisar.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please tell me one method he has skipped and free. FK17 has joined again. How possible? FK17, can you talk to me? FK170704, can you talk to me? No talking, but want to remain in the class.
यस सर आई एम सॉरी सर वो माइक इधर और लैपटॉप पे कर रहा हूँ ना अभी मतलब ज्वाइन किए तो कर रहा था
तो जवाब क्यों नहीं दे रहे?
सर माइक रिस्पॉन्स नहीं दे रहा था वो मुझे लगा किसी ने मुझे रिमूव कर दिया तो रीजॉइन किए तो अब आपका आवाज
रिमूव किया था.
सर सॉरी सर.
Okay, tell me the method of runoff which Chaudhry Farhan missed. You told me a runoff method named English method, another method Lacy method. I think one method.
और रन ऑफ के लिए
हाँ जी, runoff estimate करने के लिए empirical formula है. Okay, Fariha Nisar, you can tell me. ये आपका बनता क्या है नाम? FK1707 नाम क्या बनता है?
फैसल.
फारूक?
फैसल सर फैसल.
तो सही नाम रखो ना ताकि हम नाम सही ले सकें आपका.
अच्छा सर मैं वो सेटिंग से चेंज करता हूँ जीमेल के थ्रू वो खुद ही से हो जाता है.
वहीं पे अपने सेटिंग सेटअप में जाके देखो मिलेगा. ओके, फरिया निसार.
Yes, sir.
One
Sir,
method students are missing.
surface runoff coefficient method or SCS curve number method and Khosla formula.
Khosla he has missed, that is the empirical method, and SCS curve number method. Okay, so these methods we have gone through. These were developed for, especially this English, this Lacy and this Khosla were developed for particular region, for particular basin. So we should use them with caution that if the properties of the basin are similar to the one for which that equation is developed, then we should use it. There is one method, SCS method. SCS is abbreviation of soil conservation. This method is abbreviation of Soil Conservation Service of USA. This is of Department of Agriculture, USA, USDA. They have carried out experiments on small basins, on small catchments, a plot size catchment, and they have varied the characteristics of the catchment, and they have observed which kind of hydrograph or runoff is received at the outlet. So from numerous experiments, from the numerous data of the different catchments, they have made relationship between catchment and the runoff. So they have elaborated that if this kind of land is there, and if the soil infiltration is high or low or very low, they have related this information with the help of the curve number. They have proposed some numbers. They call it curve number. These are called as CN curve number. And for different kind of characteristics of watershed, we have to select a curve number, and then using that curve number, they have given the equation which can help us find the runoff. Dependent upon that curve number we select, and that curve number is dependent upon the land use, land cover, soil type, and one other thing is antecedent moisture condition, AMC. Antecedent mean previous, prior to the event which we want to study. For example, if I want to find the runoff for 10-inch rainfall which occurred yesterday, so runoff will be affected by the condition of the catchment prior to that 10-inch rainfall. So previous condition, we have to know whether it was catchment was very dry, whether it was very wet, whether it was medium. So that antecedent moisture content effect on the runoff. So they have given different curve number for different antecedent moisture condition. So that we have. So depending upon the land use, soil type, antecedent moisture condition, they have given a table which can help us find the curve number, and that curve number is used to convert rainfall into runoff. So this method is widely used, although it should be used not for bigger catchment, but it has been used for large catchment also. It should be used for smaller catchments. The basis of the curve number method is the empirical relationship between retention. What is the retention? The part of the rainfall which does not become runoff. And which part does not become runoff? That depression storage, that evaporation, and interception by the canopy. So that does not become runoff. So remaining becomes runoff either through infiltration, either through interflow. But because this method is used only to measure the direct runoff, so all these methods are used to measure the direct runoff, that part of the runoff which comes from above the surface. So for this case, the retention is that part of the flow which does not become the direct runoff. So that include infiltration also, that include evaporation also. So this curve number is empirical relationship between retention and runoff properties of the watershed. Please keep your mics muted. अपने माइक को म्यूट रखो, ध्यान से रखो. Laiba, Lahore. Please take care. When you join the meeting, your mic should be muted. Okay, so let us see how it relates. It relates the properties with the curve number. We have this table available. For example, if the land is agricultural land, and over there the crops are row crops, straight crops. These are the further characteristics of the land, cover of the land. And they also specify that impervious area, the area which is paved, area which is covered with the impervious layer like roads, like concrete. So no impervious area it has. Then curve number ranges from 64 to 85 for different condition of soil group. So they have divided the soil type into
Excuse
four.
me, slides नहीं share हो रही.
स्लाइड वीडियो नहीं आपको यानी स्क्रीन पर नजर नहीं आ रही, ये कह रहे हो?
No sir, yes sir, यही कह रहा हूँ.
मैंने स्लाइड शेयर की ही नहीं है लगता है, ये मैंने की तो थी पहले वीडियो से.
Yes sir, अब आ गई.
Okay, good, thank you. Okay, please keep your mic mute. So you are seeing that SCS, Soil Conservation Service Department, which is a sub part of US Department of Agriculture, they have given curve numbers are a coefficient or a constant, let us say, for different kind of the soil, for different kind of the land uses, and for different kind of the soil types. For example, for agriculture land use having row crops in it, for agriculture land use having row crops in it, the curve number they propose is varies from 64 to 85 for different kind of the soil groups A, B, C, D. So 4 kind of soil groups they have specified, and they have divided the soil based upon their infiltration capacity. If you read the definition of the soil categories, so category A is that one which have very high infiltration rate, and B is having moderate infiltration rate, and C is having slow infiltration rate, and D is having very slow infiltration. So they have divided into the four characteristics. So if the soil has a very high infiltration rate, then curve number proposed is 64. And so for other land uses, for example, if it is an open space, there is no particular use, it is lying open without any agricultural activity. So for example, the lawn, parks, so this is, he is talking about, I think, in urban area, in open space in urban area like lawns, parks, golf courses, cemeteries, means graveyards, etc. And if it has a fair condition, not very rough, and the grass is covering 50 to 70% of the area, then curve number is 49 for high infiltration soil and 84 for very slow infiltration. This is not the complete table. This is just to show you a sample of the table. Complete table is many pages, 7-8 pages, and you can find it from the reference TR55. Technical report 55 by the US Department of Agriculture, available online. And this table is there in the books also, in Lindsley also, and in Venti Chow book also. You can find the complete table. For example, for forest also you can find, for urban land, what we call it, commercial area, you can find it. If your curve number is, and these curve number are for antecedent moisture condition of medium type, AMC2. They have divided previous condition of the moisture in the soil into three categories: AMC1, AMC2, and AMC3. So the table shows the curve number for AMC2, and AMC2 is defined, previous condition of moisture condition is defined in such a way that if in the previous 5 days, is dormant or growing, for that different condition is there. Dormant means the crop is not growing towards maturing. It is going towards harvesting size. So dormant, either it is having no crop or high. So growing is like the season for wheat nowadays. Nowadays wheat is growing at the moment, but March, May, it will be dormant season. So if it is dormant season, AMC2 is defined in such a way that in the last 5 days, total rainfall, if it is 0.5 to 1.1, if the event which we are studying, the rainfall event which we are studying, for which we are interested to find the runoff, if 5 days prior to that, there is rain activity of value 0.5 to 1.1 inches, then the soil condition will be called as antecedent moisture condition 2, AMC2. It will be called AMC2. If rainfall is less than 0.5, it will be called as very dry, or AMC1. And if it is more than 1.1 inches of the rain in the last 5 days, it will be called AMC3. So similarly, for growing season, these values of the rain are a little bit different. 1.4 and 2.1 is the range. So the table which I showed you previously, this one, it gives us the curve numbers for AMC2 condition. And if we want to find the curve number for AMC1 and AMC3, so here is the conversion factor given by the literature, that curve number for antecedent moisture condition 1 will be 4.2 into curve number for antecedent moisture condition 2 divided by 10 minus 0.058 into curve number for antecedent moisture condition. So similarly, we have the value for curve number to calculate curve number 3 also. So make it clear that curve number proposed, yes, in the tabular form is for curve number 2, and we have equations available which can help us find curve number for antecedent moisture condition 1 and 3. Suitable antecedent condition you should be supposing when you are working on some hydrological study. For example, if you are working to find the probable maximum flood, PMF, the highest possible flood in an area, then more severe condition you should be expecting that prior to that flood, even prior to that, even the watershed was wet. So AMC 3 we can approve. In normal conditions, we can go for AMC 2. If you are carrying out a normal study, and then normal soil condition can be taken, assumed, AMC 2 can be assumed. But if you are sure, no, the previous to that, in 5 days, there was no rainfall. So then AMC 1 can be taken, then runoff will be reduced. As the condition of the soil becomes wetter prior to the rainfall, so more runoff will be generated. Infiltration reduces if it is already wet. So that should be taken into account. So if curve number is known to us, this SCS method has given us the relationship between runoff and precipitation and infiltration rate. Is initial abstraction, initial losses. Abstraction means taking out something. We use this word quite often in hydrology. We call groundwater abstraction is so much in Pakistan. So it means groundwater extraction is so much. Abstraction and extraction are similar thing. So over here, abstraction mean that water which is taken out of the precipitation, and rest is the runoff. So it means initial losses which are there over there. So S is the potential maximum retention in the catchment. So total retention which is possible in the catchment to fill all the depression, to take out the infiltration also. So that is called as S. P is the precipitation for which we want to find the runoff. So they have related runoff in units of depth of water, inches, equal to P minus IA, initial abstraction square, divided by P minus IA plus S. And this initial abstraction, they have found from the different experiment that it can be taken as 20% of total or maximum retention. So IA can be replaced as 0.2S, and the same equation 2-1 can be rewritten as only in terms of P and S. Q is equal to P minus 0.2S square divided by P plus 0.8S. So this equation can be used if S is known to us. S, that is the total or maximum retention in the catchment. That is function of catchment characteristics. What is the catchment characteristics? Means what is the soil, what is the land use, like agriculture, urban, commercial. What is the condition of the cover on the land, whether it is row crops, whether it is forest trees, whether it is grassy land, whether it is impervious land, whether it is a water body. So S, that is the maximum retention, that is dependent upon the catchment characteristics, and that has been taken into account, catchment characteristics, in the table of the curve number. So S is estimated from the curve number of that catchment. As I told you, we have the table available which can help us find the curve number. And if the curve number for the region is known to us, for the catchment is known to us, then the maximum retention I can estimate with this simple equation, 1000 over curve number minus 10. If maximum retention is known to me, I can find the runoff from the precipitation event. So very easy method, but we should understand it, how it was developed. If the curve number is with us, this graph can also help us find the direct runoff Q, or we can find it from this equation, Q is equal to P minus 0.2S. So the graph or this equation, either of them can be used to find the direct runoff. From this graph, they have proposed this equation. Originally, they made these graphs for different kind of the catchment, and then they say if I use curve number 20, I can get the equation of this line. If I use curve number 100, I get the equation of this line. So as the catchment becomes more impervious, or if the catchment does not have much retention, curve number increases. This curve number 100% impervious, which have no retention. This curve number 100 is that which will make all the rainfall into runoff. No losses will be there. So for that catchment, we can use curve number 100. It can be used for highly impervious land, or for water body itself. So 95, usually we have the curve number in the range of 70, 80, 85. In this range, we have the curve number for the natural catchments. If curve number is given, or if we know the catchment characteristics, we can find the direct runoff. Keep in mind, these methods of estimating the runoff is only for estimating the direct runoff. The rest of the part, that is the base flow, which includes the groundwater flow. Base flow we estimate in another way, or we assume a part or a percentage of the direct runoff as a base flow. So all these methods are only for estimation of the direct runoff. If direct runoff is with me, I can make the hydrograph for the total runoff by adding base flow into it. There is a numerical over here. Compute surface runoff for a highly dense residential area. So they are telling us which kind of area is we are talking about. It is a residential area with 65% impervious area. So calculate surface runoff for a highly dense residential area with 65% impervious area. The soil in the area exposed to the precipitation is soil with slow infiltration rate. Soil type is also mentioned, and the precipitation for which we have to compute the runoff. Surface runoff, direct runoff, both are the same thing. These are the two words we use for same thing, surface runoff or direct runoff. So precipitation is 7 inches. So from the table which we showed you earlier, assuming we are talking about antecedent moisture condition 2, they have not mentioned any previous conditions, so we assume that it is a normal or medium kind of previous soil moisture condition, antecedent moisture condition. So if we assume AMC2, we can use this table. And for a residential area with 65% of impervious area on it, highly dense residential area. In this table, can you tell me where is the highly dense? So this one is a highly, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth row gives me the highly dense residential area and has a 65% of the area as impervious. Now, next thing is which column I should use as a curve number A, B, C, D. So soil type was what? Soil type in the question was slow infiltration with slow infiltration rate. So for slow infiltration rate with slow, it is the category C soil over there. So curve number should be taken as 90. So if you are not sure, if you are having, so if all the soil is of this type, we will be taking this curve number. If your catchment is bigger and the soil type and the land cover and the soil soil type and the land cover are different in different part of the catchment, then you divide those catchment into the smaller part and you take the curve number for each kind of the soil and land cover, and you find the aggregate weighted mean you calculate as a curve number for the whole catchment. For example, if 10% of the land is residential, 80% is forest land, and 20% is covered with the water. So you will be finding a curve number for each of these types, and depending upon the area covered by each of them, you will be finding the weighted mean of the curve number, weighted average of the curve number. So if it is only one kind, so directly we take it over here because it was AMC2, so we don't need to convert it into any. So 90 is the curve number for highly residential, 90 is the curve number for soil type C. So that we will be selecting in this question. So if curve number is 90, either I can use the graph this one, for 90 curve number, for 7-inch rainfall, cumulative rainfall of 7 inches, it is telling me that runoff should be something between 5 and 6 inches, 5.5, 5.8, or 5.7 inches of the runoff is expected from that. So that is the runoff generated by a rainfall of 7 inches. So similarly, you can see that the rest of the inches out of the 7 inches, 5.8 or 5.7 reaches to the outlet, but the rest is the retention in the catchment. So if somebody want to know the losses, so he can find it from this method. If somebody want to know the runoff, he can estimate from this method. Hopefully you will be able to use it in a good way. So either you use a graph or you use the equation. You should be knowing both of them. Sometimes we give the graphs to you. Equations are simple. Q is equal to P minus 0.2 S square or P plus 0.8 S square. And we know original equation was relating the initial abstraction and the total retention with the runoff. And initial abstraction was taken as 20% of the storage of the maximum retention. And curve number and maximum retention is related to 1000 over curve number minus 10. So these equations are for inch units. Keep in mind, these are for the inch unit. In other literature books which are doing in SIR in centimeter, if they are measuring, so a little bit different coefficient you will be finding over there. So this method is available in different places in centimeter and different places in inches. So take care that these equations are good in inches. Any question in this method? So this is widely used. People have used it in GIS also. They give the land type. They have the file for the land type, land cover, soil type. Using these three information, they find the curve number automatically from the computer because table is also fed to the computer. So if the curve number is known, so then rest is the calculation, calculate S, calculate runoff for different kind of rainfall. So methods are available which can use this SCS method. Hydrological, meteorological system, HMS, HEC, HMS software have computerized this SCS curve number method to convert rainfall into the runoff. Another method is unit hydrograph. We should know the definition of unit hydrograph and we should also know how to use it to measure the direct runoff. Unit hydrograph is a direct runoff hydrograph. Okay, hydrograph is a relationship between some flow parameter with the time. So if the flow parameter is only the direct runoff, so then we say this is a direct runoff hydrograph. So unit hydrograph is a kind of DRO hydrograph, direct runoff hydrograph. It is not a total hydrograph. Total runoff hydrograph nahi hai. So unit hydrograph is a DRO hydrograph, direct runoff hydrograph, which is resulted due to unit effective precipitation. In US system, inches are used as a unit precipitation. In SI system, maybe we can use 1 centimeter. So if there is a 1 inch effective rainfall is that rainfall which is converted into the runoff, which is converted into the direct runoff, not the runoff, which is converted into direct runoff. That is the effective rainfall. Sometimes we call it excess rainfall. Sometimes we call it excess rainfall, sometimes we call it effective rainfall. So it is that part of the total rainfall, cumulative rainfall, which is converted into the direct runoff. So it means if I subtract the losses out of the total rainfall, and losses mean infiltration, evaporation, depression, storage. So then remaining is the direct runoff. So if there is a 1 inch of effective precipitation on the whole catchment, then the direct runoff hydrograph generated by that rainfall is called as unit hydrograph. Simple. If there is 1 inch of effective precipitation on the whole catchment, then whatever is the hydrograph generated by that rainfall at the outlet. So we will be calling that direct runoff hydrograph as unit hydrograph. Clear? आसान है, ठीक है ये? So if I have a unit hydrograph of one catchment and I have another unit hydrograph of another catchment, so how if they are different from each other, what is making them different? क्या चीज उन्हें different कर रही है? The shape of the unit hydrograph changes because of the characteristics of the basin only. Because we know that hydrograph is dependent upon two things. One is meteorological condition, rain characteristics, and another thing is the basin characteristic. So unit hydrograph, because rain is restricted, we are saying it is 1 inch rain, 1 inch effective rain. So the shape of the hydrograph will be dependent upon the catchment characteristics. Larger the catchment, different shape. Smaller the catchment, different shape. More steepy the catchment, different shape. So unit hydrograph actually is a representation of the catchment characteristics, how catchment affect on the runoff. So if we have for a certain catchment unit hydrograph, and we know that this is made for 1 inch of effective rainfall, so that unit hydrograph can be used to estimate the direct runoff of another rainfall event. Another rainfall event having direct runoff of another quantity. For example, if I and another thing we have to keep in mind, unit hydrograph is specific rainfall duration. So unit hydrograph, whenever we mention that this is a unit hydrograph for a rain event of 24 hours or 6 hours or 12 hours or 1 hour. So duration must be specified with the unit hydrograph listing. So when we mention that this is unit hydrograph, so this is incomplete information. We should mention this is unit hydrograph for 1 inch, for storm of 1 hour. This is unit hydrograph for a storm of 2 days. So different storm duration result different unit hydrograph. Got it? So if I have a unit hydrograph of 24 hours storm duration, then I can find direct runoff for a storm of 24 hours duration having value of effective rainfall other than 1 inch. I will simply multiply the ordinate of the unit hydrograph with the effective rainfall value. I will be getting the direct runoff hydrograph for that rain event. ठीक है, क्या क्या बताया? I have told you the definition of unit hydrograph. It is a DRO, direct runoff hydrograph, generated from a catchment for an effective rainfall of 1 inch or 1 centimeter. Area under the unit hydrograph is because it is a direct runoff hydrograph, the ordinates show the value of the runoff, direct runoff at a certain time. For example, this is a unit hydrograph. So these ordinates show the value of the direct runoff at different time locations, at different time intervals. So here is the peak direct runoff. But area under this hydrograph, unit hydrograph, is the volume reaching at the outlet. Because over here, if it is discharge in cubic meter per second, and over here it is time. So area under the hydrographs is the volume. So sometimes unit hydrograph is mentioned in terms of discharge units. Sometimes they are mentioned in inches or depth unit. Got it? Flow, discharge can be converted into volume by multiplying with the time, and the volume can be converted into depth by dividing it by the area of the catchment. Last time I told you this thing. So sometimes unit hydrograph ordinates are in inches or in centimeter, and sometimes they are in the discharge units. We should be able to know, we should be able to convert them from one unit to other unit. For example, if I want to convert this cubic meter per second into inches, so I will be dividing them by the area. I will be dividing them by the area of the catchment. So I will be getting it in meter units if I divide it by the meter square of the area. and I will be multiplying them with the time for each time step for which I want to find the volume or depth. So that will give me the depth unit. And vice versa is also true. If you have the depth of the water multiplied with the catchment area, you will be getting the volume. So divided by the time in which that volume is collected, you will be getting the discharge or cubic meter per second. So here is a unit hydrograph. If this unit hydrograph is for a storm of, let us say, 1 hour duration, keep in mind, storm can be, rainfall event can be of different time period, and the runoff can be generated for a longer time period. Usually it happens. 1 inch rain sometimes generate runoff of 6 hours. A 1 inch rain which occurred for 1 hour may generate runoff for 6 hour, 12 hour or different time. So we call this as a base period, the time period in which the runoff is occurring. We call this as a base period. So base period of the hydrograph is a different thing. Storm duration is a different thing. This is the message. Storm duration can be different from the base period of the runoff hydrograph. So if we have the unit hydrograph available for a certain catchment, which is actually the representation of the behavior of that catchment, we can convert that into the direct runoff hydrograph. For any other value of effective precipitation, for effective precipitation of the 1 inch, the runoff, direct runoff is the unit hydrograph. For any other value of the effective precipitation, the time distribution of the direct runoff can be obtained by using ordinates of the unit hydrograph. By using ordinates of the unit hydrograph, we use the ordinate of the unit hydrograph and we multiply them with the effective rainfall for which we want to find the direct runoff. So here is the definition of effective precipitation or the excess precipitation. So total precipitation minus the losses, evaporation, infiltration, transpiration. Time of concentration, how to estimate the direct runoff, for a effective precipitation of X inches. The discharge because of the X inches effective precipitation is equal to X inches effective precipitation into the ordinate of the unit hydrograph. So that is simple thing. So this time of concentration I will be talking in next lecture. Simply it is the time required by a drop of water to reach at the outlet from the farthest location of the watershed. We have the watershed, if we have some watershed area over here. So for example, we have a watershed and we have an outlet. So time taken by a drop of rainfall or water at the farthest point in that catchment to reach to the outlet. So that time taken is called as the time of concentration. When the storm duration is equal to the time of concentration, then we get the maximum flood possible in that area. So storm duration is selected by the hydrologist. For carrying out the hydrological studies, storm duration is selected by the hydrologist. So he should select the storm duration based upon the time of concentration of that catchment. So carefully consider these things. If you are carrying out a hydrological study or flood study for a catchment, for example, you are carrying out the flood study for Mung. So it is thousands of kilometers square of the area. So different rainfall event can occur in the catchment. A rainfall of 1 hour can occur, rainfall of 2 hours can occur, rainfall of 24 hours can occur. We should be keeping in mind that rainfall maximum intensity increases as the duration of the storm reduces. In the world, it has been seen that smaller duration storms or rainfall events are more having more rainfall intensity. Rainfall intensity is the rain per unit time, rain per hour. So if duration of the storm is smaller, the maximum possible rain observed is more. The rain observed is more. If the duration of the storm is larger, like 24 hours, the intensity of the rain reduces, because it is not possible for a larger storm to continuously drop at a higher intensity higher rate of rainfall. So this is the known fact that as the duration of the storm increases, the rate of rainfall reduces. We are talking about the rate of the rainfall. Don't confuse it with the water generated. Water generated may be more in case of the larger duration rainfall. Water generated means volume of the water generated. So that can be more for larger duration rainfall. But rate of the rainfall reduces if the duration of the storm reduces. So as I told you, we can have rain of different duration in the catchment. So you are the hydrologist, you are studying the flood possible at the Mangla, for example, then which rain you should select. If you select smaller duration rainfall, maybe uh, the whole catchment have not yet contributed to the outlet. So the guideline is that we should pick a storm event whose duration is same as the time of concentration of that catchment. And time of concentration of the catchment is time taken by the farthest point to reach to the outlet. Time taken by water to reach from the farthest point of the catchment to the outlet. So that is a guideline that should be taken into my mind when we are selecting the storm duration. So that is one method. In this we assume that the rainfall is uniform over the whole catchment. So this method is applicable for the rainfall event which is covering the whole catchment. We are not using it. And intensity of the rainfall is assumed to be uniformly distributed over the whole catchment. If it is not, divide the catchment into the smaller part. Then the hydrograph, unit hydrograph for that one, and use that one. It is good for catchment less than 500 kilometers square. So caution should be used, because for larger catchment, unit hydrograph have different shape. We usually don't cover the whole large catchment with that one rainfall event. Larger catchment like Indus Basin catchment, and the outlet is, let us see, at the ocean. Then it is not normally it is not possible that the whole Indus Basin is covered with the rainfall event. So this is good for the smaller catchments, and it is applicable for the tropical watersheds, those areas which are located in the tropical regions. So that is unit hydrograph. So we have studied empirical methods, Inglis, Khosla, and Lacey method. We have studied a little bit more conceptual or physical based. Some of its parameters are dependent upon the type or characteristics, physical characteristics of the catchment. So it is we are moving towards more physical. So that is SCS curve number method. Another method is we call it rational, which also take into account the characteristics of the catchment in the form of the runoff coefficient C. So there is a simple equation which help us find the peak discharge and the total runoff. Both we can find using this formula. Depending upon the coefficient we have selected and the rainfall we have selected. If we have selected the rain, which is the maximum possible rain in that place, this formula will result the peak discharge. If we are selecting the average rainfall, so we will be getting the normal discharge in that, or average discharge in that region. So CIA, three parameters. C is the coefficient which take care of the catchment characteristics. I is the rainfall for which we want to find the runoff. A is the area of the watershed. So CIA we use to calculate the peak discharge or the direct runoff from a catchment. These values varies, and these coefficient I and A have particular what we call it units. In some books they say that I should be in inches, area should be in hectares or in acres. So we have to take care the literature which we are using to select the C value. the literature which we are using to select the coefficient value, C value of the catchment, that will tell what should be the unit of I, what should be the unit of A. So using, because this is an empirical equation, and they have found that this kind of catchment should have C value of so much, then runoff can be calculated. So rainfall is uniform throughout the area. That is the assumption. Intensity used is average intensity of the storm. So we will be getting the average flow in that area. If I intensity is used as the maximum precipitation, we will be getting the flood value then, peak flood value. So these are some of the methods of the runoff estimation. We're seeing what is a hydrograph, how we can separate the hydrograph, and how we can make the unit hydrograph. These things have been covered in the lab also, so we will be going through them in a quick way. So last time I taught you that the groundwater do change. So here is the actual observed groundwater variation in UET. In December of 20 and December of 2019, 244.5 meter of water level in the under the ground. So this was the water level with respect to mean sea level. So it reduced to as low as 243 meter, and then in middle of the 2020, in July, it increased to 245. So that is a variation of the groundwater we are observing in this place because of water abstraction and because of the recharge from the rainfall. So I stop it over here. If you have any question, you are welcome. कोई है सवाल? Keep in mind, we are studying runoff, direct runoff estimation, method of them, we have covered it. So I stop the recording so that this file should be small. Graph, its characteristics, and the factors which affect the hydrograph shape. And hopefully everybody is knowing what is a hydrograph. Let me start recording also. Let me start the recording. So recording have been started for the second part of this lecture. We will be talking about the hydrographs, the parameter which affect the shape of the hydrograph, and we will be defining different important parameters of a hydrograph. What is time of concentration? What is lag time? What is the base period of the hydrograph? And these things, most of these things we have covered in the lab also. If you have already carried out lab computation for separation of the hydrograph, have you separated the direct runoff from the base flow in the lab part, in the part 2? Bilal Mirza, engineer Bilal Mirza. Bilal, I am talking to you.
Yes, sir.
I have कौन से lab experiment किया है last time? Lab computation कौन सी की है? Anybody can help him. किसी को याद हो? बिलाल आप फ्री नहीं हो, आपने माइक ऑफ क्यों कर दिया? अच्छा ऑन ही है, बोलो।
सर वो
कौन कौन सी कंप्यूटेशन कर लिया, जो भी याद आती है बताओ।
सर वो यूनिट हाइड्रो आप किया था, जो डिजाइन 5 किया था, 6 अभी लास्ट टाइम करवाया था लेकिन मैंने किया नहीं है अभी।
मेकिंग ऑफ यूनिट हाइड्रोग्राफ कर लिया
तो जिसमें वो डायरेक्ट रन ऑफ बेस फ्लो से इंक्लाइंड मेथड से सेपरेट किया था, इंक्लाइंड लाइन से।
अगर इंक्लाइंड मेथड किया इसका मतलब हाइड्रोग्राफ की सेपरेशन कर लिया। इसका मतलब यूनिट हाइड्रोग्राफ बना लिया आपने।
यस सर।
So इसका मतलब है आज का लेक्चर आपका मोस्टली जो है ना वो रेपिटेशन है, रिव्यू है. So you should be asking questions from me, sir ये कैसे हुआ, ये कैसे हुआ, all of you people. So this is another chance to get better understanding of hydrographs and the factors which affect the hydrograph. First few slides are the factors affecting the uh, shape of the hydrograph. So we will be talking about these factors, and then next part is how to so these are the definitions. These are also given in the lab manual also. Then separation of the hydrograph using straight line, using base length method, and using concave method, and that you have covered in exercise 5 also. So that's what I am talking, that you have gone through it in the lab. Then how to make a unit hydrograph. So definition of the unit hydrograph is placed over here again with the reference to USGS. So definition and how to make and how to use it. Both things we should know. We should be, as a hydrologist, be able to find to make a unit hydrograph. For making a unit hydrograph, what do you need? You need the actual hydrograph of that catchment. It means you should have a stream gauging station for that catchment. You should have a stream gauging station in that catchment. That will give you the flows quantity at different time intervals after the rainfall. So using those observed flows, we can make a total hydrograph. From the total hydrograph, we can subtract the base flows out of it, and the remaining will be the direct runoff. Out of that direct runoff, if that is for our effective rain of more than 1 inch, so we will adjust the ordinate of the direct runoff so that area under the graph should be equal to 1 inch of the rainfall, 1 inch of the effective rainfall. So adjustment is the third step. So how to make a unit hydrograph, and how to convert a unit hydrograph into a unit hydrograph of a different duration. We call that conversion of the unit hydrographs. So Dean Saab is on the call, so I take his call and mute my voice for interruption. So that's today's lecture. We are assumed to carry out today. So let us move towards what is a hydrograph. I think you should tell me what is a hydrograph. क्या होता है hydrograph? There should be volunteers who should be speaking. Hammama Pari या हमना परी क्या है, क्या नाम है अभी? Where she is gone? GHIJ gone. देखा, मैं जिसको select करूँ वही गायब. हारिस चौधरी. हारिस चौधरी. So should we kick off? आज तो बाहर निकालने कर देने हैं. सूरज निकला हुआ है, बाहर घूमो. Haris Chaudhary, I am removing you from meeting. Last 1 minute to answer. Haris Chaudhary. I am removing you from the meeting. Okay. Hamza Niaz. So what is a hydrograph? क्या होता है hydrograph? Urdu, English, Punjabi. Anybody will improve him or favor him or flow, discharge, एक ही चीज. Anybody comment? Friha Nisar, any comment on his answer? Farihia Nisar, be quick please. आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही, अपना माइक ठीक करो पहले. Okay, who is next? HP 4053. हबीब साहब, HB.
यस सर.
क्या नाम है तुम्हारा?
हसन भट्ट.
हसन भट्ट साहब. ओए भट्ट साहब.
यस
ये
सर.
हमजा ने अभी एक डेफिनेशन बताई है, उसको रिपीट करो.
हाइड्रोग्राफ की सर.
व्हाट इज हाइड्रो?
सर एक्चुअली a chart.
Actually, it is a chart. आगे. हमजा चुप क्यों हो गए? ओके, अपना कनेक्शन सही करो. तुमने क्या आवाजें लगा दी हैं? So Hamza, I would like to say that simply hydrograph is a relationship of some hydrological related parameter with the time. This is more generic definition, a flow parameter. So it is not always discharge parameter. Most of the time hydrograph represents discharge hydrograph. So we can, so if I want to have a more generic definition, so it is the hydrological parameter versus time relationship, and hydrological parameter can be stage. So we can have a stage hydrograph, we can have a discharge hydrograph. Both of them are hydrographs. So you restricted your definition to only flow. So उस पे मुझे थोड़ा सा था कि you should be knowing that we can have a stage hydrograph also. Hamza, ठीक है ना? So relationship between flow parameter and time will be called as a hydrograph. Sometimes we have a water quality parameter with the time. A specific hydrograph of meteorology of rainfall with the time. If we have a rainfall with the time, then we don't say this is a hydrograph. When we say this is hydrograph, उसको हम hydrograph कहते हैं, rainfall वाले. So a hydrograph is a continuous graph showing the properties of the stream flow with respect to time. Properties, it can be stage. ठीक है? Properties of stream flow with respect to time. Normally, and this can be automatically if we have auto gauging station and it is measuring the water level automatically. So the line which we get out of that instrument against the time, so that will be a hydrograph. If we have an auto gauging station marking a line showing the stage or elevation of the water on a graph against the time, on x-axis that is time, so variation, so that is a stage hydrograph. And if we have a stage hydrograph and if we have a rating curve, so who will telling me rating curve क्या होती है? कौन बताएगा जल्दी से? What is a rating curve? What is a rating curve? किसको मैंने अभी किक आउट किया था? फरीहा निसार. आपका माइक अनम्यूट हो जाता है लेकिन बिल्कुल आवाज नहीं आ रही होती. ओके, अपना माइक वगैरह ठीक करो या माइक हटा दो अपना. फ्री हैंड क्या कहते हैं? फ्री हैंड कहते हैं, उसे हटा दो. उसामा रशीद.
यस सर.
रेटिंग कर्व जल्दी से बताओ क्या होती है?
Sir, it is a relationship between discharge and stage at a stream gauging station. Discharge and stage.
ठीक है. So if we have a rating curve available and we have a stage hydrograph, so for different stages, for different water levels, we can find what will be the discharge, and we can make a discharge hydrograph or simply hydrograph also. So hydrograph shape or hydrograph itself is the result of physiological and hydrometeorological effect of the watershed. Can you differentiate between this physiological? Physiology means shape or topography of that catchment. Hydrometeorology means flow characteristics and the climate characteristics of that catchment. So it is product or the resultant of all these effects. Physical effects of that catchment. Few names of physical parameters which affect the hydrograph. कोई दो चार नाम बताओ जो फिजिकल हों जो हम मेजर कर सकें जाके देख सकें which affect the hydrograph. Any few parameters which you think hydrograph shape will be dependent upon? Nobody is volunteer in this class, eh?
सर वो सोइल टाइप हो सकती है या जो कैचमेंट की स्लोप वगैरह और उसकी जो हम सोइल की परमेबिलिटी वो भी डिपेंड करती है.
थैंक यू मियां हसन, बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हो, ठीक कह रहे हो. सॉइल टाइप, स्लोप, what else? Cover on the land, roughness, infiltration, all these affect. These are the physical parameters which affect on the flow. So the runoff, the hydrograph contains within it direct surface runoff, we have talked about it, inflow, groundwater, and the precipitation on the channel. So all these make the total hydrograph. So here are a typical hydrograph and names for its different parts. Usually hydrograph, if there is no rain event, we have a limb of hydrograph which is lowering. And we say this is the receding limb of the hydrograph. For a channel which is a perennial channel which flows all the year round, usually this receding limb of the hydrograph don't reach to the zero value. But for ephemeral and intermittent stream, it can go to as low as zero flow. And for streams which are near the coastal area, it can go to the negative side also. समझ आ रही है? Normally in the stream in Punjab, in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, you cannot expect a negative flow. Means flow going upward, upstream side. Is it possible? It is possible near the coastal area. Depending upon the sea level waves, sometimes we have a backflow also. So that is possible, but not in normal watershed and in the coastal area. Those cities which are located for Karachi people, if they are studying some creek, they are studying Kurangi Creek or Liari Creek, so they can expect water in the both phase. So their hydrograph may go above the 0 degree, below the zero discharge. So positive will be showing discharge on the downstream direction, negative will be showing discharge in the upward direction. So this is a receding limb, and if the rainfall activity is not there for a longer time, it will be receding, and it will be showing the base flow contribution of that channel. It has a increasing limb or rising limb. Limb is a part of a body, upper limb, lower limb, we usually call it. So here we call it falling limb and rising limb. So this rising limb is actually representing the direct runoff contribution from the rainfall. If previously it was receding and it was having only the base flow, when it start increasing, it means direct runoff have started contributing to the hydrograph. Hydrograph is total flow in the channel. So when receding limbs start increasing, it means direct runoff have started, and it reaches to the highest value. We call it peak of the hydrograph or crest segment of the hydrograph. This peak hydrograph is important, and we will be talking about time of the peak and lag time with respect to this peak. So one rain event can make one hydrograph, and another rain event can cause another hydrograph. This on the right hand side at the top, that is the actual hydrograph of Tarbela daily flows, inflows at the Tarbela. So you see, this is not as smooth as we are showing you over here. Different factors affect the shape of the hydrograph. So we will be saying this is the seasonal maximum peak of the flow at Tarbela. For this year, 1993, this was the peak of the flow in that year. And the peak of the flow in 94 was this much, 10,000 cubic meter per second. So this hydrograph can be represented in cubic meter per second. It can be represented in flow volume terms also. For example, if we are representing on the time axis daily period, so for one day, how much is the volume received, we can calculate by multiplying the average flow of that day with the time period of that day, number of seconds in that day. 86,400 seconds are there in one day. If I multiply the average flow of a day with the 86,400, I get cubic meter in volume units, not cubic meter per second. So I can show this hydrograph in volume unit also. Sometimes people divide this volume by catchment area, so they represent it in depth unit. So then the effect of the area of that catchment is gone out. So it is normalized with respect to the watershed. I can easily compare the depth of water generated from one catchment to the depth of water generated from another catchment without having the effect of the watershed area. Watershed area then becomes irrelevant because we have divided the discharge or volume by the area. So that is more informative if I represent inches of the runoff or inches of the this flow. If I want to convert that inches into cubic meter per second, I can do it as I told you earlier. So this is the process which happens, which generates a channel flow, precipitation, then some abstraction or losses, and those abstraction are depression storage, detention storage, and then excess water is then starts flowing over the land, and then water reaches to the channel flow. So that we have covered in the previous lecture also. Factors which affect on the hydrograph shape can be categorized into two types. One is the climatic factors related to the rainfall types and the rainfall event. One is the physiological or physical characteristics of the catchment. We call it topography, and the geological factor. You can call them as physical factors of the catchment. So one by one, we can discuss them in these slides. For example, if we first focus on the climate and precipitation factor, so type of the storm do affect on the hydrograph. It means whether the storm is persistent for the longer time or it is a short duration storm with huge rainfall in it. So thunderstorm are usually called as a short duration intense. Thunderstorm contains intense rainfall activity, but for a shorter duration. So for smaller basin or smaller watershed, the peak flow, the highest flow of a catchment will be generated in smaller catchment because of a thunderstorm. So thunderstorm usually produce peak flow in smaller basin. While for a larger basin, because thunderstorm is a smaller activity, small duration activity, for larger basin like Indus Basin or Mangla Basin or Tarbela Basin, usually we need a longer duration rainfall, which occurs when there is a cyclonic storms. We have told you a cold front and a warm front. I hope in while we were studying the rainfall or precipitation chapter, if we have a cold front and we have a warm front, these are the air parcels. These are the air if it is because of the cyclonic phenomena, then we usually have persistent and longer rainfall activities, and they produce the flood activities. Peak discharges are produced in larger basin because of these kind of the rainfall activities. Intensity of the rainfall. So rainfall intensity, it affects the amount of the runoff and the peak flow rate also. Rainfall intensity, first we should understand what is intensity. It is the rate of the rainfall, means so many inches per hour, so many inches per day. So rate of the rainfall. So if the rainfall intensity is high, more volume will be produced. Hydrograph, area under the hydrograph will be more. If the rainfall intensity is small, less volume will be. So that volume is mentioned over here as the runoff volume. Similarly, for a given rainfall duration, if the duration is constant, for example, we are talking about 1 hour rainfall, an increase in intensity will increase the peak discharge. If we are comparing two storms of the equal duration, then one with the higher intensity will be generating more rainfall, more peak of the hydrograph and more volume of the hydrograph, both of them. So that is quite understandable. Duration, if the rainfall, if the intensity is same and the duration is more, so then more volume will be generated and more peak will be generated. Okay, here is a little bit description about if a storm lasts long enough, eventually almost all the precipitation will become runoff. The time after which this occurs is called time of concentration. Consequently, the peak flow will approach a rate equal to the product rainfall intensity into area. This situation is never reached in large basin but may occur in small watershed. What he is talking here, if we have a smaller rainfall event, for example, few minutes, few hours, and the catchment is having larger concentration time, then it is possible that when the farthest point water reaches to the outlet, before that rainfall have finished, if it is a smaller duration rainfall. So it is possible that the farthest point contribution did not reach to the outlet and the rainfall have stopped. So in this case, the peak flow will not be generated as higher as if the whole catchment was contributing. On the other side, if the storm event is long, so then after a certain time, the whole catchment will be contributing flow at the outlet. And the storm is continuous. For example, we have a persistent storm, we have a continuous storm for many days, then a time will come that all the rainfall will be reaching to the outlet. So that is what he is talking, that a time will come, consequently, the peak flow will approach a rate equal to precipitation into A. So all the losses have already been filled, all the infiltration have been filled, depression storage have been filled. Now whatever is the rain coming on the watershed, that is reaching to the outlets. So that is a theoretical possibility for a larger basin, but for smaller basin it can be achieved. So that is what is mentioned over here. So that is how the effect of the rainfall duration is there on the hydrograph. So we can understand this from this graph also. For example, if the rainfall, here are the lines of the rivers. The main thick line are the river lines, are the stream lines. Here is the outlet. And other lines, these curved lines, are line representing the time taken by water to reach to the outlet. For example, after 1 hour, whole of this area will be contributing water to the outlet. After 2 hours, whole of this part, this curve will be contributing. So after 10 hours, this much area will be contributing to outlet. If it was a small duration rainstorm, so it is possible that rain finished occurring over there and this contribution have not reached over here. So then the peak will not be generated. From the same figure, we can understand the concept of time of concentration. So time of concentration is that time taken by the water at the farthest point to reach to the outlet. So for this catchment, time of concentration is shown over here as 10 hours. For this catchment, time of concentration is shown as 5 hours. For this catchment, time of concentration is shown as 9 hours. So that storm duration will generate maximum flow, maximum flood, which is whose duration is equal to the time of concentration of the catchment. That is the message I gave you earlier. That is a message I want to repeat it with the help of these figures also. So that is time of concentration. Okay, aerial distribution do affect whether rainfall is occurring over the whole catchment or rainfall occurring on the part of the catchment. Of course, it do affect. Rainfall can cause variation in hydrograph shape if an area of higher rainfall. So location of the rainfall event, whether it is close to the outlet or whether it is away from the outlet, that also do affect. So if it is near the basin, then rapid rise will occur. So peak time or the lag time will be less. Peak will be generated quickly if the rainfall occurs close to the outlet as compared to a rainfall which is far away from the outlet. Clear? This is simple. So if the rainfall occurs, for example, in this catchment, although this is showing something else, direction of the movement of the storm, but let us first consider, don't think that these storms are moving. Let us say that rainfall occur over here and it is not moving. It occur over here and it is finished. So then peak will be generated earlier as compared to if the rainfall occurred far away. Here is the outlet of the catchment. We are measuring the hydrograph or seeing the runoff over here. So if a rainfall occur far away, its peak will be generated later. And if the storm occurs close to the outlet, its peak generated will be earlier. So time of the peak will change. Second thing, its rise of the its rising will be quick. Its rising limb will be having a milder slope. That will the increasing limb will be having milder slope for the farther storm. While the storm which is close to the outlet, its rising limb will be having a steep slope. That is what is talked over here. An area of high rainfall near the basin outlet, it will result into a rapid rise and a sharp peak and a rapid recession. These three will be the effect of the location of the rainfall event. If it is a larger basin, location can be different. If it is a smaller basin, usually the whole catchment will be covered with the rain activity. But for larger basin, larger catchment, it is possible that one district is getting rainfall, other district is dry. One part of the catchment is having rainfall. Next is effect of the direction of the storm. So that is what is shown over here. If the storm is moving away from the outlet, if the storm move upstream, it tends to produce lower peaks of longer duration. That is what is shown over here. There is a storm shown with the blue. There is another storm shown with the purple color over here. This blue is shown to be moving upward side, away from the outlet. Then the hydrograph generated by this blue is shown in this hydrograph in the blue line. So it will be having a smaller peak and it will be having a flattened hydrograph. Hydrograph is flattened. Although both will be generating same volume, area under both the graph will be same because we are assuming both rainfall is having the same intensity, same areal extent and same intensity. Then volume under this hydrograph will be same, but the peak will be peak flow will be different and shape of the hydrograph will also be different. So that is how the movement of the storm do affect on the rainfall. Here, effect of the drainage area, effect of the shape of the area, and streams effect. How well developed are the stream in the channel are shown. If it is a smaller area, overall volume generated for the same rainfall, if it is a smaller area, volume generated will be less. But if it is a smaller area, it is possible that more intense rainfall occur on it because the peak flow per unit area reduce with the catchment size for a given rainfall depth. Drainage area has effect on the time base of the hydrograph is lengthened. Drainage area has effect on that. The time base of the hydrograph is lengthened. Higher the drainage area, bigger the basin, bigger the drainage area, more will be the base of the hydrograph. Time base of the hydrograph will increase. Why the peak of the flow per unit area reduce with the catchment size. So that is the effect of the size. So carefully see these words, peak flow per unit area. He is not talking about simply peak flow. He is dividing the peak flow by the area. So peak flow generated per unit area increases if the catchment is small and it reduces if the catchment size is large. So if the catchment size is large, peak flow per unit area will reduce. That is the message. If the catchment area is increasing, peak flow per unit area will be reducing. Why? Two reasons. One, because if the area increases, the rate of rainfall reduces, partly because the rainfall intensity reduce for larger extensive rainstorms. I talked about it earlier also in the first part of this lecture, because it is not possible for a storm event to occur at high intensity at a larger area. But it is possible that at a very concentrated smaller area, very high intense rainfall is occurring over there. So as the area increases, rainfall intensity, peak rainfall intensity reduce. So when the catchment size increases, so peak rainfall intensity possible for that size of the catchment is smaller as compared to a catchment of smaller size. So because of this reason, the peak flow per unit area reduced because a higher intensity of the rain is not possible in larger. The second reason is partly due to the longer time required for the total catchment area to contribute the peak runoff. So second reason for reduction of the peak flow per unit area with the increase of the catchment size is time of concentration. For smaller size catchment, quickly the whole catchment start contributing, while for larger catchment, it takes very long time that the whole catchment start contributing. So that is effect of the drainage area. Effect of the shape. Effect of the shape will come in the later part of the slides also, but the shape effect on the peak time of the peak of the flood. If it is said that we are considering these three shapes, one is elongated shape, one is very round shape, and one is in between. We can see that the catchment which has a narrow shape, elongated catchment, we can say it is A. its time of peak will be equal to the time of concentration of the catchment. So its peak will reach for A catchment. This is the line of hydrograph. So it will occur after 10 hours. But for the catchment B, its time of concentration is 5 hours. So its peak will be reaching after 5 hours. So for catchment C, it has 9 hours of time of concentration. So it will be reaching after 9 hours. So time of the peak is affected by the shape, and shape is controlling actually the time of concentration of the flow. And the time of concentration of the flow we have defined earlier. If a catchment has well-developed streams lines inside it, its time of concentration reduces and peak will reach earlier. So if there is a well-developed stream network in a catchment, so its peak will be generated earlier. So when peak is reaching earlier, it means rising limb is quite sharp, rising limb is quite steep. So that is also the effect. Steeper slope reduces the time of concentration, so quick peak will be generated. Also, steeper slope don't let infiltration occur because water cannot stand over there, so infiltration will be less. So more volume will be generated, and we having the larger volume under the hydrograph. Similarly, the geology or pedology of the catchment controls the infiltration rate. Geology controls whether it is sandy, whether it is rocky, whether it is silty. So that controls infiltration rate, that controls the volume of water, and that also controls the runoff. So that changes. So land use also do change. Land use, whether it is agriculture or it is urban area, that controls the runoff also. We understand this thing. So here are the shape effect shown. It is narrow catchment. We will be getting the peak later one, and peak will be smaller also as compared to a wider catchment having small time of concentration, higher peaks and earlier peaks. Shape of the catchment shown over here. If we have shape wider at close to the outlet, we will be having higher peaks. If shape is narrow, this is the normal catchment. If shape is narrow, so we will be getting peaks and the later as compared to the this one. And if we have a dumbbell shape of the catchment, we can have two peaks. First, this part will be generating peak, and then when effect of this area, dumbbell area, reduced width area is there, flow will be reduced over here. When effect of the upper part reaches to the outlet, another peak will be generated. So effect of the slope is shown over here. We have talked about it already. Effect of the stream network is shown over here. We have talked about it. Higher the stream network, quickly the water will reducing. So this will be generated peak earlier and higher. So land cover effect, if it is a forest, it will be generated, it will be stopping the water, it will be generating less flow, runoff will be less. If this was barren, if it was without any forestry, open, so less infiltration and less depression storage, more flow will be generated. This is one cause of the flooding in the urban area, in the urban catchment, those catchment which are being urbanized, vegetation are being removed, then more floods are coming over there. So I stop it over here. We will continue from here, different part of the hydrograph and how to divide them, how to separate hydrograph and how to make unit hydrograph. Any questions? So stop recording. Thank you for listening, and please go through them and be ready for some exam or quiz in near future. So stop sharing, stop my video, and Allah Hafiz. Thank you.